Hi everyone, this is Dave from Mountbatten Estates. Today I have a very good friend of mine, a chap who I met on the golf course, thanks to my friend Des Daly. This chap is doing incredible things in the tech world, the property tech world. Phil is an established developer up north, but he's created this really unique, interesting piece of kit. Which I'm really keen to explore and delve in and get to the bottom of it today, find out what it does, how it does it, and how it's related to property professionals and how they can really get to grips with it. So let me introduce Phil Stow, who is the creator of the GoDevelApp app. Phil, over to you. Introduce yourself.
Okay, yes, Phil, I come from a background of engineering, chartered engineer, many years in chemicals, oil and gas, that kind of thing. Software background throughout that. Latterly, heavily involved in designing offshore safety systems. So it was intense, and the planning and control of all that was a great base for doing whatever I was going to do then in property. But realized sort of 2014, when the oil price crashed, work dried up, didn't matter how well qualified I was, experienced, you can't get work. So I realized then that you're not the master of your own destiny by working for somebody else. So property came to the fore. We just got rolling on this journey, and then this little thing, this hiccup called COVID came in, which essentially dried up our source of properties in terms of we couldn't go view. We were doing commercial conversions, so without seeing these places, there's not much movement going on at all. Offers weren't being even accepted. So I was in a dilemma. I throughout that course of that journey in researching commercial conversions, I'd created small little tools to help me. It could have been something in the back of a spreadsheet. There was all sorts of routes and means that I was using, and it sort of just, I could put all this together. What else am I doing? So I think it was kind of March, April sort of time, just at the beginning of the COVID lockdown, and I just put my mind to it. Let's see if we can put this together, and did a bit of research on where we could source the people. Basically outsourced. It was two guys in Pakistan. Done a superb job as far as I'm concerned, and it's been a smooth journey, if I'm honest. I mean, they're not property people. They're basically way more on the mapping side than the actual nuts and bolts of property, but essentially with an app that's very visually focused on mapping, then they were ideally placed. And their backgrounds was a lot of software as well. So so that sort of time we started putting it together, and it started feeling real, and launched in the October, which it's been a real challenge ever since, trying to get the numbers of users up, and getting it across as to what it is. The social media side of it that's my worst.
Yeah.
to actually try to do some of the videos and tutorials. It's all right, we're just having a chat, and it's a simple sort of, it's just a natural thing. But turn your camera off and ask me to do a video of that. That's it. I just got a piece of it. It's been
really. I think when you get to our age, Phil, social media is like a whole new beast, isn't it? You need to be embracing this for a good few years. I'm not saying it's impossible, but yeah, I think youngsters these days, they've been just brought up with it, haven't they? And it's just the norm, the natural. For us, we've kind of been trying to kind of re-educate ourselves again in a whole new media.
Yeah. So if any of your users get onto the app and check out the YouTube channel, I'm sorry.
Is that the disclaimer so far, is it?
Yeah, that's a disclaimer. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, Phil, so we've got a little bit of background about yourself, how and why this was kind of created. I'm really keen to explore what it does. How's it relevant to property professionals? What does it really do at its core? Can you explain a little bit on that?
So the concept behind it was that anybody who is looking for information about a property, get it all in one place. As I said, for us, we were looking at commercial conversion. So there's a lot of the permitted development side of things that are fairly straightforward tick boxes. But we were, and we still are. We're looking for projects nationwide. So you drift into another local planning authority, and then having to go to their site to find the bits and pieces of information. It's not impossible, but you've got a single platform where you can click on a property and find out the relevant information related to that. So the concept is for me was from a developer's point of view, but I think we've grown to realise with where we want to go in the next, the kind of roadmap for the application, it will benefit all of those other professionals as well. So almost financial due diligence for the funders, commercial agents who want to research their own prices to price a commercial sale or whatever. But we added layers into the whole thing. So there's, as I say, you type in a postcode, find the building that you were looking at, and the layers can be turned on. So flood zones, listed buildings, all the usual criteria. But then there's a series of links that will take you to either directly to information or the local site, finding out ownership details, titles, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was the core idea. But one of the other aspects of a commercial conversion is understanding the deal. So, sorry. Should have turned that option on.
That's right.
Understanding the deal. So you need a series of comparable data to try to calculate your GDV. So we added a layer of current on the market prices, which is sort of picking up data from Rightmove, Zoopla, and on the market, those kind of sites. Live data, find out your price, pound per square foot, all that kind of information on sales in the area. And that just led to another layer that we could then explore. So actually people sourcing properties, whether you're looking for a property to renovate, for instance, one of the search criteria is finding, in need of modernisation type of buzzwords and keywords. And it just lists out all of those kind of things. So there's a great, and it's really targeted for people sourcing properties, or for themselves or other people. It doesn't.
If I get this right, then Phil, I could literally go on your app. I can find sites. I can delve in. I can actually pull them apart, so I can find out issues, constraints, planning issues that might kind of affect the site, and then I can do some further due diligence in terms of pricing stuff up, comparables that's linked to some external data as well on Rightmove, Zoopla, all that. Fantastic. Any other databases it's linked to? LandReg?
Yeah, so it's got links directly to Land Registry. If generally it's open data, if it's owned by a commercial agent, then the name of that person is publicly available. Otherwise, you've got to go to Land Registry and you've got to download the title deed to find the ownership.
Yeah.
But we have every. It's not searched by the title number. It's called an Inspire ID. So Land Registry changed how they will reference all properties, and that's a search just within Land Registry, the same as you can put in an address. But we just link through to that. You can't, there's no automatic here's your title deed, unless we want to pay the £3 for however many titles, the 20 million titles in the UK. So, so those key, the real core basic things that you need to know ownership. If you're writing letters to potential sites, then it's all there. It's no different to chasing it down on land registry, but with some of the other tools that it interacts with. So there's a full CDM on the packet, CMR on the side of it, allowing you to manage all that bit of information and get the reports and things.
I think that's been something I've noticed as well with a lot of other, without having a software tool like this. Basically, you're spending a lot of time and effort, aren't you, trying to piecemeal all this information together from different various sources. Having one tool where you can just go there and have it all at one, a few clicks of a button is incredible. It just cuts down the time no end.
Yeah, I mean the roadmap as well. It's still in its infancy, to be fair, and we've got great processes being developed, which will expand even more. So all the changes to PD rights. So trying to identify, for an example, to identify a retail unit that has got upper floors that aren't in any lease or don't have a title deed, i.e. they're not being used by that retail. So that's a golden nugget of piece of information for a lot of people with that route to their property portfolio building, is to find a retail shop, get that converted or retain it as the retail and convert the upper floors to residential. PD rights, so the concept behind it and driving it forward is about planning. So all of the planning rules, there will be some way to find that potential building that fits that criteria. So whether it's airspace, flat roof buildings, no antennas, that kind of thing. So you search for. We'll add searches that are searching for buildings that have got no subleases for antennas or any rooftop masts and things.
So you're saying you can actually find these opportunities without having a mask on there. It actually finds those opportunities.
That's the plan. Yeah. And same as large plots. So trying to do we're adding a ratio between building area and plot area. And obviously, the bigger that ratio, then the less chance of getting an extra piece of planning in there for a new build or whatever. So it's all really related to planning and planning conditions that need to be satisfied.
So sorry for interrupting. We've had a lot. Just touching on something you just mentioned, we've had quite a lot of changes in the use class order, with the Class E coming out, and then, like you just mentioned, airspace rights. We've got Class AA and Class AB, which have come out as well recently. Your tool effectively allows us to find all these opportunities. Is that right, Phil?
That's the roadmap. I mean, yes, that's the plan. That's moving into really next year's drive to get that implemented and back out and available. So it's not there at the moment, but that is the focus for getting it going forward next year.
I'm really keen to explore how this differs to, say, other types of software or similar software that may already exist. So can you maybe tell our listeners and viewers today some of the interesting tools you like about this?
Yeah, so I think, and maybe we won't mention the others, but I've used the others as well before putting this together. And for me, the single difference is the user experience. I find some of the other platforms, they're so detailed, they've got so much information. I don't really think it's very user friendly, unless you really, really, really understand it. So we've gone for this single approach with the visual map, and it's just a smooth. Well, obviously I'm going to say this. It's a better route to find the information that you want, because it's from a developer's point of view. It was built from that developer. What do I need? And get to those pieces of vital information straight away. That's the concept, and that's why I think it's different. It is easy to look at the other platforms and say, well, okay, they've still got more layers, but they've been going a lot longer. Their price point is massively different to where we're going to be at. So, a hint of value for money, and it's with that end user in mind. That was our key thing, and who that end user is, really.
Have you identified who your kind of target audience, your kind of end user typically looks like?
Yeah, it's me. I was that developer, but as I said, we've gone away from just that core information about commercial conversions or planning constraints into adding layers that are for sourcing properties as well. But because of that, as more data is added into the database, or the database is, then the layers of due diligence that can be done open the product up to, as I said, bank level due diligence. So maybe the financial institutions will get on board with it soon. Commercial agents, surveyors, all those professionals around property that need to find some information. So I mean, we just exchanged on a piece of land, doing a new build. And the bank needed a monitoring surveyor report, so QS report at the front end, and all the searches that he needed to do were searches that could have been through the platform, and that's another key element. So even if your search was coal mining or where are the utilities or whatever, yeah, you pay third parties for that information. But you're having to go through every one of those sites to find it, or you've got to go landmark and pay huge amounts of money. Where we're going to add those layers into this application, and some of that's it's just real key things. So, for instance, the drainage. Where are your sewers? If you've got to do an S106 connection and it's 4 miles away, it's not a good development. That kind of thing. So it's the end user isn't any one person, it's anybody in property. That's the real key. And I think maybe that's the difference sometimes with the platforms. I mean, I know people like Crowd Property use a particular platform to do their due diligence. And we're talking and we're trying to get ours as a better option for them. So it's down to marketing it now, but that avatar, that there isn't a single avatar. There's just different layers. So whether you're just sourcing a property or whether you're looking for information on planning, then that's 2 different people straight away.
Phil, tell me, you've mentioned a little bit of that. This was kind of created more or less at the same time COVID was kicking in. I'm really keen to hear what problems and issues you faced throughout this. What that looked like. Had you any issues with funding? Tell us a little bit about, because it could have been purely sailing with this. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes that people don't see. So I'm really just keen to see what problems you encountered and how you actually got over those problems.
I think that so from the outset, the biggest problem was, in my mind, I wasn't building a business, and it became it. So again, it was just I'd more class it as a little hobby that I got going, and put all this make my life easier. And then when I realised what we could produce, then it became a business, and because of that route, that was the biggest problem. So we didn't start necessarily with a business in mind, and that's my regret. So now we're playing catch up. Now we're into a second phase of trying to get funding. So I basically what's kind of classed as bootstrap this. So I paid, and all of the what we have is funded by me. And because of that, it was restricted in its growth. So we could have gone out for funding. Now hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? I could have gone out for funding right at the beginning, and finding things out at such a late stage has made me realise, that was a big mistake. So that was the biggest and most fundamental hurdle to get over, because there was, we're building the user base up, subscriptions, or there's probably, I think it's about 80% of people are just on the free version. So that free version isn't insignificant in the information it provides, because a lot of the stuff you can't really take commercial profit from. Some of the sources of those bits of information out of the local planning, interactive maps, or whatever layers they are, they're crown copyright, so you can't charge for that service. So that's, there's almost a thought process at the moment that we will go to a completely free platform. Think about how Google started, and it's a non-subscribed massive business, so it doesn't need to have a user subscription in monetary terms. It's just we need people to get it on and understand it. So moving forward, that was the biggest stumbling block. In terms of the development, as I say, we outsourced from two guys out in Pakistan. Language wasn't an issue. Their ability wasn't in question. They've done a really good job. We might rewrite it because of the layers that we go into build in there, but that's a little background, using the databases differently rather than actually changing the application software. So the map is the map. And then, so moving into the earlier part of this year and finding out where funding could benefit it. Again, being late at it. So starting to look for seed funding, registering with the HMRC to allow shareholders to get this SEIS benefit in terms of tax relief for them. And now moving into bringing in the first set of investors on board. That's the drive next year, but the biggest regret was not doing that last year.
So, Phil, I take from that, ideally, we need to drive more business to you. So anyone looking for a free trial can go to the GoDevelApp app. And anyone interested in speaking to you a little bit further about investing, then you'd be very keen to speak to them as well.
We are, I think that's true of, whether you're doing the property or whether we're doing the app. The funding behind it, the investors behind it are the key to the success. As I say, it's just, we're at a phase now that should have been started 12 months ago, unfortunately. But that's things, hindsight and knowledge. The actual information came to me. I did a demonstration to a property group up here, and one of the guys who watched it rang me up and said, interested in investments, and he's kind of putting sweat equity into it. So he asked so many questions that I've never even thought of. So it's becoming a real valuable asset into moving it forward.
Fantastic. All right, Phil. I think we've mentioned ideally who the target audience is. If anyone has an interest in this, then what I'll do, Phil, is I will put your details, and the link to everything literally just underneath the video. But yeah, I mean, I've learned quite a lot, Phil. I think it's quite an interesting product you have. It's it's going to be ideal for anyone in property, to be fair, whether you're a developer or you're a sourcer or someone who's just actively involved with kind of providing that high level of due diligence to people. So yeah, if you've got any interest at all, then feel free to head over in Phil's direction. But did you want to say anything else before we sign off, Phil?
No, the main thing is go to the app. You can sign up. The free access is free. There is a free 7-day trial for the full version. The watch out for the roadmap. It's going to be the opposition slayer, because I won't mention names.
Brilliant, love it.
Well, I've got to get you on board, Dave. You've got to get at this and get your VAs using it rather than
yeah, bless them. Lovely, thanks, Phil. I really enjoyed that, and hope everyone else did as well. I will put the details below below the video. So feel free to head over in Phil's direction. Lovely. We'll leave it there. Hope everyone got some really good value from that, and like always, stay safe.